Hello, everyone, and welcome to Standing Out in Your Search for an International Conversation Design Job. My name is Hillary Black, and I am super excited to be here with you today. This is going to be a very action packed session where we'll cover everything from what jobs are out there, where to find them, and of course, how to stand out in your job search. So let's quickly get into it. First, if you don't know me, again, my name is Hillary Black, and I am a conversation designer. I am a marketer and content designer, a content creator, community host, educator, and career coach. I am very busy in the conversation design space. You may have seen my Facebook community, Conversation Designers Internet Club. I also coach and teach a course through UX Content Collective. I am the founder of conversationdesignerjobs.com and also work at an AI SMS assistant called Mav. So, before we get into your career journeys and how you can take the next step in your conversation design career, I just want to cover a little bit of how I got here and how I thought my career would go and then how it actually went. So, like many of you, I thought that what I would do was go to college, find my first job, find my dream job, work there for a few years, keep working my way up to being an executive, making a lot of money, and just continuing to work there until I retired. That's, what we consider the American dream, I guess. But that is not how my journey went at all. My career looked a little bit more like this. As you can see, there's a lot of ups and downs. I had several unpaid internships after my college. I worked a few different jobs. I was working in social media actually when I got out of college. And then in 2016, I actually got laid off and I was unemployed, which was when I began freelancing. And that was when I found conversation design. So I have been a conversation designer since 2016, and I started work with a consulting company at the time. We were building chatbots for a lot of different brands. And since then have gone on to work at another startup. I launched my course and community, launched my job board, started coaching. The rest is sort of history. But the point of why I'm sharing all of this with you is that whether you are watching this because you are switching from another career, you're just starting out and you're very excited about conversation design, or you're experienced and you just want to level up and find the next job for you, the right role is out there and it is absolutely possible to make this change and to find a really great role in conversation design, no matter your experience level. And I am proof of that. I'm working as a conversation designer with a unique background, and my career had a lot of ups and downs before I got to be here today. So, before we talk about how you can stand out when you're searching for a job, I just want to talk a little bit about where conversation design sits and what types of roles are out there. So, in my opinion, conversation design is sort of at the intersection between UX, content, data and research, and technology. It really is taking in all of the aspects of these different areas and bringing it into one conversation design. So, if you have worked in any of these fields previously, you will find it actually will be a lot easier for you to make the switch into this industry based on your unique background. So, speaking of conversation design jobs, what jobs are out there? You might know, especially if you're looking for an international job, the way that they list these opportunities is a number of different titles that span anywhere from conversation design to technical. I've listed out here some of the many roles that you might find if you're searching for conversation design jobs on LinkedIn. And you just want to keep these in mind and just be open minded in terms of what you are searching for. Set different alerts and see. You might be interested in being a messaging designer, or you might want to be a chatbot analyst. These are all different sort of creative jobs that you can find out there that all are going to live within the field of conversation design, of UX, something more technical like the AI training and machine learning aspects of it, or you'll dive right into the content and be a content designer or a content curator. These titles are all a lot of variants all around the world. And depending on what you're most interested in, you might find something that is a little bit more appealing to you that you want to dig in and search even more for. So, where can you find these jobs? There are several different job boards that are specific to conversation design and conversational AI jobs. Three of them are conversationdesignerjobs.com, botjobs.com, and the Conversation Design Institute job board. But these are not the only places that you can search for these jobs. There are several remote specific companies and remote specific job boards that can help you out if you are looking for remote international conversation design jobs. And then, of course, places like LinkedIn as well. But more importantly, you don't want to skip over jobs that aren't listed on a job board. This could be things that you find through communities like Bots Brasil, or it could be through referrals from your friends, from former employees, or even through mentors on sites like ADP List or with UX Content Collective. So, through my list, you might have found now you want a different type of conversation design job. You know your title, but how can you stand out and how can you actually land this conversation design job? So, let's get into the tips. My top 5 tips for standing out in your search for an international conversation design job are: number 1, make yourself more visible. Number 2, create relevant projects. Number 3, networking and referrals. Number 4, research and review the role. And number 5, upskill often. So now I'm going to get into each one of these and sort of just review them and share what it means for you and how you can actually take advantage of these tips in order to land the job that you want. So, with tip number 1, making yourself more visible. By making yourself more visible online, it is more likely that jobs will come to you instead of you needing to apply for these jobs. This is something that I have had personally where recruiters are reaching out to me on LinkedIn or they're sending me an email asking if I'm interested in a job. And I know very other people in the conversation design industry have had this experience as well. They get recommended for a job or they see someone post about an opening on their team on LinkedIn, and that person comes to mind. So, this is something that you can do right now, whether you have a lot of experience or a little, is you can make yourself more visible online. So, the best way to do this is through your LinkedIn profile. This is going to be the number one place where recruiters and hiring managers are going to go if they want to hire someone. LinkedIn is for jobs. And so, of course, they're going to go there and they're going to search conversation designer and they're going to see who shows up in those search results. So, the micro bio, which I will review more in the next slide, is the most seen part of your profile. And this is really where those keywords come in that I was talking about. So, this bio and this part of your profile follows you everywhere on LinkedIn. It's in the search results, it's on your profile. And so, you really want to make sure that you are including what recruiters are going to be searching for in this part of your profile and move everything else, the personal details and the statements about yourself, into your about section. It's not something that's irrelevant, it just does not belong in this area. So, speaking of features too, make sure that you are using every single available feature to you. You want to be adding your portfolio and specific work to the featured section. You want to be filling out your work, different sections, and saying what you did and what you contributed to this role, as opposed to just stating what the company is and what they do. And another great tip is to ask a coworker or a mentor to give you a recommendation. This really will show up highly on your profile. It's a great way to get these letters of recommendations right onto your public profile where people can see them. And you're having people that are real verified people vouch for you. And lastly, make sure that you are adding any certifications and skills that you have. LinkedIn also has skills quizzes and assessments that you can take right on their platform. So you can go in there, take an online course right on LinkedIn, and it will show up on your profile. And those are searchable as well. And lastly, make sure that you are connecting with people with purpose. As opposed to just adding every single person who is trying to add you, make sure that you are adding people in this industry, people with jobs that you want, people who work at companies that you want to work at, add recruiters and team managers for different listings that you are applying for, and be sure to engage with their content thoughtfully. This will really help them to get to know you, and it's a great way to network with people that you don't yet know. I personally have met so many people on LinkedIn, and even though I don't know them, I am very willing to recommend them for jobs just because I'm so used to seeing their face. We've messaged back and forth, and I feel like I know them. Okay, so back to this microbiome that I was talking about on the previous slide. This is something that follows you everywhere on LinkedIn. It is super important, and it is what you're going to want to spend the most time on your profile. So, as you can see on my profile here, I have my title listed of conversation designer and content creator. I have also shared where I work and what I do. I have a lot of different job titles, as you heard in the beginning of this presentation. So mine is a little bit longer, but I think as long as you're focusing on the job you have, the job you want to have, and what you are interested in specifically as it relates to conversation design, conversational AI, NLP, AI training, if these are things that you want to have as your job, be sure that you are putting them in this part of your profile because you will see it follows you into every post that you make. It follows you into every comment that you leave, and it even follows you onto Google. So when I searched conversation designer LinkedIn, this was what came up for me. I was on the first page of these results, and it listed my little microbiome right here of being a conversation designer and content creator. So think about any recruiter is going to type in what they're looking for, and you might show up. So that's why it's very important to spend a lot of time on this part of your profile. So, tip number 2 is to create relevant projects. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with if they don't have a lot of experience. And you're going to want to create this experience with relevant projects. So, here's what I mean by this. If you don't have a lot of conversation design specific experience, this is something that you can very easily create yourself. And all that you have to do is use industry tools and platforms, which make it super easy to generate work projects while you're learning a new tool that is an industry tool at the same time. There are many Figma templates, there are voice flow templates, and there's a lot of these different platforms that people use in the industry that you can use to create any project that you want completely open. And so you might be wondering, what kind of project should I create? If you are looking for a job in a specific niche, maybe you want to work in the legal field, as a conversation designer, or maybe you used to work at an entertainment company and you wish that they had a chatbot. These are things that you can create in order to show people this is the type of work that I would be doing if I was on your team. If you have some sort of unique story or background, you could create a bot that would help people that do something in your field. For example, I know people who have created studying second languages and tutoring chatbots, and also bots that help remind you to do your homework. These are things that can be very helpful if you come from a teaching or an education background. And it's a really great way to tie in your expertise that you already have into this new field that you're trying to get into. And if all else fails, you can always create a bot about yourself because certainly that's something that you know a lot about. So, something like an about me or a resume bot is a very easy way to get started. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you are documenting this with a case study. So instead of just linking to the project or showing screenshots, you want to make sure that you are summarizing the problems you hope to solve, explaining your approach, and saying what you learned and what you would do differently next time. This is something that is going to help you build your portfolio, especially if you feel like my portfolio is a little, bland because I don't have a lot of experience. You can really create these projects yourself, and it's a very good way to just flex your skills, be creative, and show what you're learning as it relates to conversation design. Tip number 3 is networking and referrals. So, applying for a job is not the only way to get the job. A big part of getting in the door is having an intro. And I did sort of mention this a little bit earlier that I've met a lot of people on LinkedIn that I'm personally willing to refer, even though I don't know them personally. I've never met these people before. I know their skills, I know what they're about, I know their approach to conversation design. I've seen, their portfolio and their resume and their LinkedIn. So they have become very visible to me, and I am willing to give them a referral. And this is something that you yourself can ask for, but I know it can be very awkward to ask someone that you might not know in person, or, you just feel a little bit uncomfortable asking someone to put themselves out there for you. So these are just my tips to ask for a referral for someone. And this could be you see a job that you want to apply for, you already applied for a job, or you think that you want to work on a certain team that you think might be hiring at some point. So, the first thing for sure is to pick someone who knows you and your skills. This is going to be the best way to actually get the introduction and the referral that matters, because this person is going to be able to directly reference your skills and their relationship to you in the referral. I'm sure a lot of people who work at, Amazon and Meta get messages all the time from people who don't know them very well asking for a referral. But if they don't know you and your skills, why are they going to be willing to say, hey, hire this person I know nothing about? So you want to be sure then that you're also prepared with a summary of why you're a match for this position. So when you are sending the person a message and you're saying asking versus demanding, do you feel you know my work well enough to refer me for a role at this company, whether it is the company they work at now or somewhere they worked in the past? You want to be able to also be prepared with, hey, I saw they were hiring. Here's the list of the things that I match from this job description. This is a really great way to get in the door with the person right away. And then if you don't know anyone there, you can definitely find a mutual connection and then ask your mutual connection who knows you and your skills and who is willing to make the referral for an introduction to the person who actually works at that company. This is sort of a secondhand way to get your introduction and get your referral for the company you want to work at by using that stronger relationship that you already have. And then, of course, don't forget to send a thank you message to the person once they have helped you out, whether you get the job or not. Tip number 4 is researching the role. You might not be the perfect fit, but if you come prepared with the reasons why that's okay, you'll have a lot better chance of getting the job and standing out in your application. So, because this is a new field, it is something where we see a lot of laundry list of ideas of what people are looking for when they're hiring a conversation designer. They might be looking for experience in writing, but then also experiencing in developing and also experience, with AI and also experience with web development. And they're sort of just saying every single aspect that they think that they want a person to have, and they're not exactly sure because there are not a lot of conversation designers out there. So the companies just really don't know that well. So you might really find yourself getting discouraged if you are seeing a really long list of qualifications and you maybe only match about half of them. But the ones that you do match, you're really great at. You're really great at content writing. You're really great at UX. And some of the other things you might be able to learn later. So, if you are going to be applying for these roles, which I definitely recommend you still apply for them, even if you don't feel entirely qualified, just make sure that you are highlighting the skills that are directly referenced in their description first. So, when you are writing your cover letter and when you are interviewing, having a phone screening, make sure that you're calling out those specific things that they definitely asked for. And then also be prepared to answer that you either can learn the things that you don't have yet, or you have experience that directly translates to that. So it's completely okay if you don't know everything, but being willing to learn something and being able to say, I could take a course on that, or I could take a boot camp, or I would definitely be willing to learn that on the job. These are all important skills to have too. It's showing that you're flexible, it's showing that you're open to learn. And I think they'll be a lot more likely to have the conversations with you, even if you don't match every single checkbox on their description. And then the last tip for this is to frame whatever experience and whatever background you have outside of conversation design as a unique value to this job. So that could be anything from customer service or data entry, or for me personally, I had a social media background. So I said, I'm very used to writing engaging copy that people are meant to be responding to. I'm used to writing Facebook posts and tweets and Instagram messages, and these are all meant to elicit a response from the user. It's meant to be short and engaging, and that is something that applies directly to conversation design. So, no matter what your background is, think of these skills and how you can utilize them to your advantage. Number 5 is to upskill often. This is something that I also mentioned in the last tip. If you don't know something, you can absolutely learn it. Whether it is conversation design or a completely different skill like JavaScript, it's something that you are able to learn. And especially if you are coming new to this field, I encourage you to learn. I encourage you to watch YouTube videos, which are also great for interview preparation. You can search almost any topic on YouTube and find a great video about it and spend a lot of time learning it and seeing where those resources are leading you. You can also take different online courses, many are free or paid, so that you can learn new skills that will help you, even if you're just applying for jobs. Look at all the skills that they are saying they want people to have. And depending on which ones you have or you don't have, you can sharpen those skills based on what they're giving you. There are also many free workshops that are happening almost every single day of the week in the conversation design community. So keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on the Miro community, the Raza community. And these are a lot of really great free ways to learn from people who are already working in this field. And then lastly, there are things like academic research papers, boot camps, hackathons, and even conferences like Bots Brasil, where you can learn a lot of new skills and you can find yourself being curious about what's going to happen next. And you can really let the curiosity be your guide into where you want to go in your future, what you want to learn. And you might even find in yourself that you're actually a lot more interested in the product side of things. You're actually a lot more interested in the machine learning side of things. And this could be a new path that you kind of break off of in conversation design, or you could look for a role that is more hybrid. But always learning new things is a really, really great way to make yourself more hireable, make yourself stand out even more. So, before I leave you today, the last thing I wanted to share when it comes to standing out in your search for an international conversation design job is just a quick do's and don'ts. So, just to review, do read the full job descriptions. Make sure that you know what you're applying for. Make sure you can answer any of the questions that are about the qualifications in that, about the different duties in the job description. Make sure that you're writing a cover letter. This is a really great way to fill in the blanks that wouldn't be on your resume because that's just one page. This gives you an entire second page that you can explain yourself, let them know your personality and even your writing style. Apply even if you don't match every single qualification. Reach out and always make new connections. This conference is a really great way for you to just meet new people and make sure that you're connecting with them on LinkedIn afterwards, keeping in touch with what's happening. Maybe they are hiring a new conversation designer on their team. It's great to always be reaching out and meeting new people and also participating in the community. There are so many great sub communities within conversation design, and it's a really great place to just meet new people. I personally really love getting to know all the people from all over the world who work in this industry. And then, of course, the don'ts. As I said before, don't add a stranger just to ask for a referral. Make sure that you are actually getting to know people genuinely and that you're not just asking a person for a referral right off the bat who does not know you or your skills. Don't only apply at the big popular companies. I know that many of us out there want to work for the FANG companies, but there are a lot of other companies out there doing great things in the space and a lot more companies who are willing to take risks on people who might not have every single skill on their qualifications list or who might be newer to the industry. Don't only apply to listings on LinkedIn. Definitely make sure you're reaching out to your network and you're going to the specific job boards like conversationdesignerjobs.com. Don't sit back and wait to hear from every application you send out. This is something that a lot of people do. They get very excited that they're going to be able to hear back from the person very quickly, but don't let that slow you down. Keep your motivation high and keep putting yourself out there. And lastly, do not get discouraged. The right job for you is absolutely out there. And I do not want you to get discouraged if you don't find it right away. There are definitely going to be the right jobs out there for you that are a good match for you. So, if you have any questions about all of the things that I have shared, I will be hosting a Q&A meetup at the Bots Brasil conference. It will be happening on August 25th. I do not know the exact time just yet, but if you go to the conference page, you will be able to see that event and come and ask me questions. I do hate to say that this Q&A will only be in English. So, if you have a question that is in Portuguese or another language, if you could submit it ahead of time, that would be a great way for me to translate this question and then be able to get all of your questions answered. And I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has tuned into this talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot in this marathon. And I really hope to see you and to meet you in the conference.